Welcome back. It's 9:21. Experts predict this holiday season will be the busiest travel season since the onset of the pandemic. With the reopening of international travel to the U.S., already crowded airports and tension over the spread of COVID, airports are looking at new ways to keep employees and travelers safe. Joining me now is Sharon Hong. She is Vice President Enterprise Technology at Motorola Solutions. With ways technology is playing a crucial role in helping airports continue to operate safely. Good morning to you. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So this is something that's, we don't necessarily as consumers, people who fly, think about, but this is something that's critical for all of us. So what should airports be thinking about as we look ahead to the holiday rush?
Yeah, absolutely, Sylvia. Like you were saying, with the rush that's coming during the holiday season, what that means is more and more people coming through the airports. And certainly airports need to think about not only the everyday issues that they have to deal with, but with the pandemic on top of that, how do they mitigate the spread of COVID-19 as more and more travelers are coming through the airports?
Yeah, and so what are some of those things that they need to be doing?
Well, certainly, technology can play a key role in a lot of this because, as we think about the pandemic, we continue to face challenges like, things like making sure that people are wearing masks, making sure that we're minimizing the number of people who are in a given space, and just frankly, making sure that people aren't traveling when they're sick.
Okay, so technology is being used in airports in new ways to improve traveler safety. What are some of the things we may not be aware of that are happening?
A lot of these technologies are a combination of video and analytics and automatic alerting to make sure that those who are responsible for safety and security within an airport are notified in a timely manner when something is happening. So, for example, thermal cameras can be placed at security checkpoints to detect elevated body temperatures, or other cameras with embedded analytics can detect whether there are certain hotspots within the airport where people are naturally congregating. And so personnel within airports can help with the traffic flow and making that a little bit more seamless. But in addition to that, also be able to detect where people aren't wearing masks, where they're required to.
Interesting. So you're saying that these things can be there. We may not even be aware of it. Do you know of airports that are using this technology? For instance, are they doing that here in Chicago?
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, this type of technology is very commonly used across airports just in their normal security operations. So outside of the pandemic and outside of COVID, you think about just the things that a security operations within airports has to think about, things like helping people stay out of secure and restricted areas, making sure that we can identify suspicious luggage, locating missing people or children, and more importantly, being able to communicate with law enforcement and fire during emergency. All this technology supports these day-to-day use cases. And really, COVID is just another use case that this technology can expand into.
Okay, I'm thinking of these packed, crowded airports. You're telling me that there's technology that can say, so this woman who we are now seeing has a high elevated temperature?
Yes, so certain thermal cameras can help, detect whether or not you actually are coming in with a fever or not. And really that's the main use case that we want to look for, right, is to make sure that people aren't traveling sick during these crowded times.
Okay, that's crazy. I had no idea. Sharon, I will never be able to go to an airport again without thinking about you, because I'm going to be walking around going like this. What's up there? Very interesting. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing this with us this morning. Sharon Hong with Motorola Solutions. Have a happy holiday.
You too.
Okay, did you know